We continue work on our Spelljammer combat and exploration book that we've been building here for the past year. Give me a second here to check my signal, and we'll get up and running here for 100 minutes of fun. So hold on real quick, checking signal here. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Real quick, checking signal here. Cool. All right, cool. Coming through clear. Give me a second here to press some buttons to boost my signal across the net. And all right, cool. Intro here real quick. Hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and publish them online. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition here for the past 5 years. There are a slew of links in the description down below to some of the books that I've created before. They are all full preview. So like, if you click on the full preview button, underneath the cover, if you're on a desktop or if you're on a mobile phone, there's an eye icon on the right-hand side of the screen. You can click on that. Either case, it'll throw open a PDF that you can take a look at. If you're here for pixels and arts, there's probably about 150 different illustrations that I created for those books specifically. And if you are a D&D enthusiast, the stuff that I build is meant for both sides of the screen, both DMs and players, and I run campaigns as a DM from level 1 to 20 in about 200 to 250 hours on average. So most of the stuff that I have there is things that I built for my own campaigns or that plan on having in my campaigns that I needed additional tools for to be able to get the feel of the accomplishment that I want. So if you think that stuff is cool, consider checking it out. If you buy some of it, it'll certainly help support growth of the stream in general. In addition, I just posted that I'm live on Twitter. So if you're on X Twitter, you can follow me at Phil Kearney. And best way to support the channel overall is a like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Hey Karen, thanks a lot for being here. This is episode 244 of the development of the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration System that we first started creating once Spelljammer was published by Wizards of the Coast in August last year. So we've rolled over a year at this point. And so we build games, we illustrate them, and then we publish them online, right? So we have the ideas for what we want in the campaign for our game. We develop the tools, we test them. If they play well, then we'll type out all the text, send it off to an editor, make sure it sounds smart. Editor gives it back to us. We further adjust, drop it into a layout program. I use Microsoft Word, very simple and easy. Once all the text sits on the page the way that we like it, then we can take each page individually, extract it as a PDF, drop it here into Photoshop, and then we start painting directly on the canvas. So that's what we're going to continue today. This cover we made back around episode 15 of our playlist. So if you want to see the creation of the cover specifically, you can go into the Wayback Machine of our Spelljammer playlist and check that out. This book also, once completed, will be extensive full preview on DMsGuild, so you can check out the mechanics. If you think it's cool, great. There's going to be 8 maps for Light as Araxis and system design, as well as about 72 tokens of ships, creatures, as well as the NPCs that are present in Light as Araxis as well. So there's going to be a ton of value there for people that are interested in Spelljammer in general. So without any further ado, let's dive into this. So here's the references that we're looking at right now. We're pulling clothing, skin, and references from a screenshot from Cutthroat Island, which was a Gina Davis pirate movie back in the, I want to say, early 90s maybe. And then, of course, Pirates of the Caribbean. So right now we're working on crew members in combat with Nyogi, Spiderling, and Death Spider ships floating around in the background in an asteroid field. For people that, spoiler alert, people that are familiar with Light as Araxis will know that this is a scene where Nyogi pirates ambush the ship while they're investigating wreckage. So a lot of the galleons and night spiders and elven ships that are depicted in the book here are different scenes or challenges in the Light as Araxis adventure. So by the time somebody gets through with the rules at the front of the book, at the back 20 pages, We have an adventure for how to say it. When Wizards created the Spelljammer box set that we have these days, they include an adventure in all the settings that they produce. Like the Dragonlance set, it was a book. Planescape had a monster manual, a gazetteer guide to how to run Planescape, and then an adventure to do so. Spelljammer the same. A gazetteer adventure design, well, basically like a setting Bible, a monster manual, and then Light of Xeraxis is the adventure. So they provide an adventure with the settings that they present. Similarly, with this conversion guide for the different mechanics that we have for combat and exploration, we also included a conversion guide for Light of Xeraxis. So if you want to use these mechanics and you want to see them in play, and you picked up the box set and you're disappointed with it, then you can use these mechanics to change how Light of Xeraxis works in your campaign if you want. So, hey, good morning. So we're gonna keep sally forth here with clothing, and here's some pants. So let's put some pants on this dude. But yeah, right now we're basically doing posture and gesturing for the crew members. Let's see what we want to do here. I'm gonna do that and pull this in here like that, and then grab those here. And, oops. We're going to do that, and then we're going to here. We're going to. Right now, we're just working on the pose of the bodies, and then we're going to refine the art that goes with it. So here we're looking at the ballista frame. This is a really rough turn wheel to change the pitch of the ballista as a whole. We also have to build a shuttle, the drawstrings that connect to the shuttle, and this guy's doing okay. So we don't have a lot of technical stuff that we need to actually continue doing on the ballista itself, but we do need to do some decor, and of course fixing that flywheel to clean that up. We'll also have to have a draw crank here for the shuttle down the firing arm. The way that's gonna, I've got some thoughts about that. So let's stitch these shut for a second and look at this again. So for us to properly build here, so for us to properly do this, we need to have a wheel here that's drawing a rope that pulls the shuttle down, and as the shuttle gets pulled here at the base, it has the drawstring that goes like that and like that. So this is what we're basically looking at for the form of the catapult. So we need to have a wheel here that will crank, that will pull the string, that pulls the shuttle down the length of the firing arm, and then then you can load the bolt onto the arm, and then when you hit the release latch down here, that pops the flywheel that releases the tension of holding the shuttle in place, which allows the drawstrings to pop open. So what we actually need to do, oh boy, if I did this correct, if I had done this correctly, and the shuttle is fully pulled back, then the drawstring is going to be more like this. Get out of the way, scallywag. The drawstring would be more like this, right? Pulling the arms in, and then having the rope go to here. That would be the proper way to do that, but it doesn't really. It condenses the form of the catapult of the ballista too much, so I can't actually do it that way. Instead, I'm going to need to have it's gonna have to be like more like this, because it's still being drawn forward. We'll have our wheel here, and then our turn crank here. Now this guy can be on wheel duty over here, adjusting the height. This guy can be here, pulling this down with that Murph here. Nah, his pose is okay. There, that lines up pretty good. So this shuttle would be drawn by a rope that's attached to the shuttle, and this turn crank here. The turn crank pulls the rope, which pulls the arms down in the process, and then you hit a latch, and then while it's latched, you'll load the ballista, and then when you release the latch, it releases the tension on the draw arm. It pops up, it pulls the rope, it pulls the shuttle, which throws the bolts at the enemy. So this guy adjusting the angle is proper for siege weapon aim. This guy drawing the string down, and this is all working out. So everyone has their purpose, and everything is in place. So that is good. I think, yeah, this should all work out just fine. Let me scooch this guy down a bit and over a little more, so he's not in the way of the draw. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. So I'm pretty happy with that concept. I can just leave that sketch there like that for now. Bop, bop. Bop, bop, bop. Don't need that other hand there, though. There. That's proper gesturing. Okay, cool. Now we can get back to work. Now that we have an idea of where our posturing should be, we can just, illustrate this guy so he's in that proper position. Or gal, whatever. I don't care. Hips, legs. Get those legs thinner. I have a thick leg problem. It's just an anatomical bias that I have for thick legs. I don't know what that says about me personally, but I always make just like really thick mass legs. There we go. So we're here 6 days a week, Monday through Friday in the mornings like this. We're doing artwork for the Spelljammer supplement on Monday and Thursday nights, including this evening. We work on cartography for the upcoming Eberron adventure that we'll be publishing on the DMsGuild. On Saturday mornings, including this weekend, we work on commissions or personal projects, depending on what we have on our plate. Right now, we've been commissioned to create a book cover, so we're going to continue working on that this Saturday. On Monday afternoons at lunchtime, we'll sometimes stream different mechanics and stuff. Like I've been looking at different Magic the Gathering inspired monsters recently on Mondays. On Tuesdays, we develop martial powers, which is an alternate Magic system for martial characters like fighters, barbarians, rogues, monks. And sometimes on Fridays, we'll stream additional content as well. On Tuesday, we developed the Rune Knight subclass for fighters using the martial power system, but we didn't have enough time at lunch to finish the job. So on tomorrow at lunch, we're going to spend an extra session continuing to work on the Rune Knights, and I am very, very happy with how that conversion is coming along. Rune Knight's a really cool class in general, and I think we really did a good job juicing it up with the power system. So we're gonna have more of that tomorrow as well. So I'm here a lot. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the mix. Hey, we're here for at least typically like an hour and a half or so, depending on what the session is. So if you're new, checking us out, like and subscribe. We got a lot of cool stuff that's coming down the pipe. So what's up? Loose pants could account for it. However, tight pants might be a problem. Nah. Yeah, I mean, there's rigging isn't like ship rigging isn't nearly as much of a problem in 5th edition Spelljammer, because the need for a crew working sails and stuff, that they did away with that in 5th edition. It's not necessary unless you drop your boat into water and then you want to putter around like a water boat. So I personally have no problem with them having stripped out the need for sailors pushing rigging around. I like the system that we developed hinges more on being able to have the pilot use action economy as though they were a creature that was using normal flying mechanics in 5th edition, which is how Wizards has pretty much presented and framed how these ships operate. So in 5th edition, it's actually more true to the mechanics of Spelljammer and 5e to not have a ship crew manning sails and stuff than it is to have them doing so. In 2nd edition, when the thing first came out, it was very much pirate ships in space, where you had to have like 20-30 crew working rigging to be able to push your boat through the void, and so that really leaned into that Age of Sail feeling of Spelljammer, but 5e has moved away from that, so you don't have to worry about. Well, they don't really encourage you having followers in general on adventures. They prefer a more dungeon punk sort of feel. Dungeon punk meaning that it's about individual superhero style characters fighting monsters. So the less they have to worry about leadership, morale, commanding multiple troops. The CR system, for those that don't know, the system in Dungeons and Dragons of determining whether a fight is too difficult or not for the players is based on basically only having, like, say 4 or 5 bodies on the battle on a battle map for the players to control during an encounter. There are exceptions to that rule, like summoning spells and undead minions and stuff like that, but for the most part, those are temporary and not meant to be part of your team permanently in the 5e version of Dungeons and Dragons. In earlier editions, like 2nd edition and earlier, and I can say "and" earlier because there was actually like 3 versions of D&D before 3rd edition. So 2nd edition, 1st edition, original, the Beckme box sets of D&D, and then the original Mulvane system. Box set and Mulvane are almost identical. 1st and 2nd edition are incredibly close as well. 3rd edition is radically different. 4th edition is radically different from all the other editions. And then 5th edition is kind of like an amalgam of 4th, 3rd, and 2nd edition. Like, it kind of like a best hits or most popular hits of second, third, and fourth edition is what built fifth edition. So there's a really wide style of different ways to run D&D over the past 40 years. I'm sure I'm fucking around with this sleeve a lot. It's good like that. You gotta learn how to. Okay, we'll do that. Hey, Tex, what's up? Possible NPCs if needed. Yes, you know I'm a big fan of squad style Dungeons and Dragons. I talk about this. I talk game philosophy a lot more on Mondays and Thursday nights than I do on weekday mornings. I think it's because I'm still waking up here. I'm just trying to get some hours in before my day job. So I stream to make sure I can get up in the morning and get the work done. So I'm always moving the project forward every day. But I'm still learning to get good sleep. So that when I am on in the morning, I can talk about fun stuff like game philosophy and stuff instead of being in my lizard survival mode and just thinking about like business and production and gotta make the donuts sort of mentality. Let's do that instead, because I keep fighting with these sleeves. The best solution to stop the fight is to change the battle. Sun Tzu would tell you that, and I am a believer. Sun Tzu for me and you. It's the kids' version. Child's Guide to Warfare. Holding your breath is an ineffective tactic. If you execute that technique, the best case scenario is you fall asleep. Worst case scenario is your bluff is called and you are disempowered in the relationship with your parents. If you really want to be effective, put a plastic bag over your head first, kids. I am not a parent. And if you're watching this, you probably aren't young enough to be throwing fits. So I think we're going to be in an okay space here between each other. Let's see. Wow, that shirt and that drawstring or that shadow there is almost identical. That's I'm okay with it. Fuck it. Things can be the same color. Leave that in place. I'm gonna take these things, drop them down into the ballista folder. Do that. There, and now we have this under here. Yeah, the nice thing about troops, or like a caravan, or a this like platoon style of play, is that if your character dies, you already have a roster of trusted NPCs that you can promote to player status. Like if your fighter dies, great, roll up a new character, and then you now have just one less Marine in your platoon that are NPCs to push around. Plus, I'm a really big fan of skirmish combat, having troops fighting, skirmishes like 20, 30 body combats, which can take a really long time to resolve using 5th edition. But luckily, I've been developing a mass combat system meant for armies and platoons to have large-scale combat and skirmishes, which is incredibly effective. That we've done some playtesting for, that I have a number of videos for in the playlist that's called In Command. So we'll eventually, once we're done with this Spelljammer project, we'll be focusing in the mornings on the Eberron adventure that we want to publish. But it's probably it's likely that the command system that we had been developing, both for kingdom and guild leadership, and again that army and platoon style combat and leadership, we have solid mechanics for that stuff using 5th edition rules. So it's really a good system that could be used for Beckme or like Shadow Dark or any 5e D20 style clone in general. Not even 5e, just any kind of, like, you could use it in 3rd edition, you could use it in Pathfinder 1st edition, potentially 2nd edition. We'd have to recalibrate the ranking system, but the basic bones behind the mass combat and leadership system that we have created is just a very basic D20 resolution mechanic, and it's just a matter of how is it implemented, and how can you, what kind of style of game do you need to fold it in, which we've provided in our playtest. We had a number of different scenarios using both Descent into Avernus as well as Horde of the Dragon Queen as sample adventures that Wizards had published that can use the command system that we've been developing. So that's going to come down the pipe. Let's see. We have this book to complete, and then we have the Eberron Adventure to complete, and then we have the Martial Powers book to complete, and we have we have to update the 5-color mana system to 6th edition once that publishes. So we need to complete that as well. So we have a number of books that are going to keep us occupied through 2024, but that probably means that we'll have an open plate for us on 2025 to start really building out and preparing for a Kickstarter to release the command system for just general D20 games. And I have yet to see a simple mass combat system or kingdom leadership system, or like Dominion, like the Dominion style of play where you're running a kingdom and then your characters are engaging or disengaging with different threats at a personal level while ruling a kingdom. Like that type of content just doesn't really exist anywhere yet. Like no one's like, a lot of people have built mass combat systems and domain systems, Dominion systems, but none of them really want to use just the basic D20 5th edition or even 5th edition model of resolution. They all have their own spin and their own take that they're trying to develop with. But 5th edition is a great system. The D20 is a really good. Here's the illustration so far. Hey, what's up? Hondorkson no Kaiji. Hey, I think I just murdered your name. So welcome to the mix. We build D&D stuff. We talk about D&D. We make D&D games. If you haven't seen this before, this is the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book that we've designed and play tested over the past year, and we're currently in the process of building all the illustrations for the book. Once that's done, we'll release it on the DMsGuild. There you are. There we are. So it's 107 pages right now. 87. It's 87 pages of like spaceship and large-scale combat in the Spelljammer setting, as well as exploration and system building. And then the last 20 pages is the conversion guide for Light of Zaraxis. So all the pages here are blank, but about 75% of the illustrations in the first 87 pages are done. And the back 20 pages is basically, it's like diagrams and maps for Light of Zaraxis as well. So we're going through here and we're just building the illustrations. Like every time you have like a blank spot on these pages, that's where an illustration goes. And most of these we've been illustrating for the past year, so you can go through and you can check that stuff out. But it's really extensive. We have fleet mechanics, we have different rules about like crew, the cost of running a ship, building a ship, salvage costs, repairing ships. A lot of unique mechanics for fast 5e combat, the different ship roles, like the different roles you can play as a pilot or a siege commander or a squadron commander or a support role, and the action economy that characters have in 5th edition of actions, bonus actions, reactions, and then attacks within the actions. And then there's object interactions, which you get a free object interaction per round. And then there's verbal actions that you can take as free actions each round, as per the normal D&D rules of combat in 5e. Verbal commands don't cost any actions. Interactions, you get 1 free per round. You get 1 action per round, you get 1 bonus action per round, and you get 1 reaction per round. So each of those things have different roles or different action economy that they can use as you perform your role, and you can have multiple roles at the same time. I could use my interaction and say bonus action as a pilot. I could then use my action and attacks as a siege commander, and I could say use my reaction as a support character. I can freely blend all those roles together, and if I have like 2 or 3 people focusing on the helm at the same time, you can potentially have multiple action economy folding into your ship maneuvering. So there's actually really great examples of that in Battle Beyond the Stars. No, it's called Battle of the Planets. It was a movie back, like I think in 1987, where it had different species of aliens fighting with Earthlings against a common foe. But one of the species, they had a ship that they'd have 4 people working the helm together. And their minds would synchronize, kind of like Jaegers from Pacific Rim. Their minds would sync together, and they'd be able to use mutual action economy to have their ship perform better than any of them would have been able to do so individually. It's a really cool system. In Spelljammer 2nd edition, it was called I believe it was called a linked helm. And so we kind of had that idea built into the mechanics that we have here, that if you have like 2 or 3, like if you had a rogue and a paladin both synchronized to the helm of your ship, the rogue could be using their bonus action economy to maneuver the ship around, and the paladin would be able to use their action economy to make melee attacks and siege attacks, like siege commands, with the weapon systems on the ship to be able to use smites and like aura of protection and stuff like that to benefit the ship. So you'd have those 2 characters basically maneuvering this as a flying melee weapon, while like your fighter or your ranger and your paladin or like your bard or your wizard could be doing support and other siege actions. Or if you have multiple ships with you, like fighter ships, like your fighter character could have command of your fighter squadron, so that it could be making multiple attacks with small scale craft that are piloted by crew, kind of like these guys here on screen are being worked as a crew to fire the siege weapon at these fighter craft here. And here's a vessel in the background, like a mothership for these smaller vessels. So anyway, that's some of the ideas. I'm kind of blarbling because I get excited about it. But once the book is actually released, it'll have a free preview. People can check out the book, and I will be doing lunch, like my Monday, Tuesday, Friday lunch streams. Will be basically walking through the book page by page, the ramble about this stuff. Like maybe I'll take, it's 107 pages. Maybe I'll like break off 5 to 10 pages per lunch session to demonstrate how this stuff works, and just basically do like a director's cut walkthrough of the book that I'll link in the product page for people to look at. And I did that with like the Elemental Key, as well as the Point Warlock books that I have on DMsGuild as well, which are in the 5-color mana bundle that are in the description down below. There's actually a shitload of 5e mechanics that we've developed and actively use in my campaigns here, and I'm happy with the, get this sleeve back here a little poofier. That feels about right. Where to find it? Yeah, thank you. Good art. Thank you. This is, well, it's some of the art. I don't know how much of it you've seen in your time with us, but here's a book cover that we built out. Nautiloid. I want to rework these tentacles, but we'll get to that. But Star Moth versus Nautiloid, pretty classic encounter. You can check out the previous previous streams for a shitload of the art that we've already created. But let's go fish up one real quick, just because we can. Interior pages, combat, done pages in combat. Oh yeah, here's some of the tokens that we've created, and we're using examples of different scale of combat: 500-foot scale, and a 50-foot scale, and a 5-foot scale for different modes of combat that you have. Here's a Zaraxis littered ship, 5, 10, 15. This is a 50 by 50 fighter craft landing on a 250-foot long hammerhead ship. You can see these different scales and how movement works. So yeah, a lot of stuff in the book. But you can check out the past 200 some odd episodes to see me building out this different artwork. So and we're trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. So anyone that's interested in helping boost up that goal is greatly appreciated. But yeah, this will publish. This book will probably publish. I'm thinking by Christmas. God, I pray by Christmas. You can't rush art, which is the most infuriating thing about art. But yeah, there's a ton of other books that I always offer free previews so that people know what they're buying before they actually spend the money on it. What really pisses me off the most is when there's a book, it seems like a cool idea, you spend good money on it, and it ends up not really having a lot of teeth to it. And so me and a number of other creators that build stuff on the DMs Guilds, a lot of us have a philosophy of be very generous with your previews so that people are buying your work because they appreciate the quality of the product, and being willing to offer that up for people to see, I think is just good customer service. And I know that people can just steal the PDF, but people can pirate stuff anyway. If it's really that good, then people are gonna probably would want to pirate it if they didn't have access to seeing it. Like if you provide a generous preview, then there's no real need to pirate it because the mechanics are there for you to look at and use if you want, and then you can choose for yourself if you actually think it's worth purchasing. So it's the only reason people pirate stuff is because they can't access it and they can't afford it in the first place. But I have seen over and over and over again over the years. Like I've been publishing on DMsGuild for 5 years, and even though all my stuff you could just steal my stuff and walk away with it, people consistently buy stuff almost on a daily basis. So it really is giving me a lot of faith in the gamer community that if there's value to be had, people are willing to support you, and that's been a really just a really big motivator to continue to produce just good heartfelt stuff and to act in good faith and to try hard. So my shit takes a long time to publish, but it's again, it's stuff that I use in my own campaigns. Like all these mechanics we have, I use in my games. I'm a big space opera enthusiast, but I love 5e more than any other system that I've played in. So naturally, I have to adapt every style of game that I can to the 5e Dungeons & Dragons model because that's the kind of fanboy I am. But so far, other than horror, there's very little I can't reproduce in 5e. It's just a matter of how much time and effort does it take, and how strong is it working with the 5e mechanics. And I keep fucking around with this back arm here. There. I think I'm just gonna have to leave that be. That's good. That's good. Let's fix these hands. I see some text down there. Give me a minute to catch up with you. I've got a coffee break coming up here real quick, so I'll be able to check out text going on here in about 10 seconds. Right now, I just want to get this hand into place. Burp, burp, burp. I have a 20-minute timer that I set so that I don't end up diving too far down any particular rabbit hole on any given day. That's a decent looking hand. We'll keep that, and let's sculpt this out. Oh, I was gonna take a coffee break. So I got a coffee mug over here. I'm gonna actually take a couple sips of water. Coffee is dehydrating. 2 sips of water for every sip of coffee. It's a good way to keep yourself hydrated during the course of the day. Let's see, what text am I missing here? Hey, welcome back, Karen. Kachiki says, I find buying books expensive. Yeah, this is why I download the pirate. Absolutely. Is that legal? Because I had money, I will pay for a real one. Well, yeah, I mean, pirating is, by definition, theft. So, I mean, no judgment. I've ganked stuff in the past, too, especially if I didn't think it was valuable, but I wanted to see. Like, if they don't provide an extensive preview, and if I can find it someplace for free to look at it, and it's really valuable, I will buy it. If it's good. If it's not good, then I don't. So, yeah, the reason why I provide just click on any of the books down below, and you can peel it open, and you can look at the entire thing. So the reason why I provide that extensive preview, because, and I've talked about this in the past, and if you catch up on my streams, you'll probably hear it at some point. But when I was 12, I would go to the bookstore at the mall, and I would plop down, like in B. Dalton or Walden Books. I just plop down. They had a role-playing section, a stack of books. I'd grab one off the shelf. I'd go back to the kids section. I'd sit down in a chair, and I would just read it. I'd have a Coke. I'd read the book. I would show up like Saturday afternoon from like 2 to 6 when my sister would go to the mall and hang out with her friends. She'd take me along, drop me off, and then she'd go do her own stuff, and I would go to B. Dalton and read books. And when I got enough money, when I accumulated enough money from mowing lawns, I would come in and I'd buy whichever book was the most interesting to me, and management was totally cool with me being there because I proved over and over again that I would buy the books once I had the money. I was there shopping for the type of book that I want. So I built a relationship with the stores. They were cool with me being there. They'd kick other kids out, but they'd leave me in place because I was always respectful. I picked up after myself. I said, thank you, sir, whatever they needed me to do. If I needed to get out of the way, I certainly would. I wouldn't give anybody any static because I was there to shop. And I wanted to learn the mechanics, and like the Dungeoneer Survival Guide in 2nd edition, for an example. No, that was the 1st edition book. The Dungeoneer Survival Guide and the Wilderness Survival Guide. Great books, amazing books. Absolutely fell in love with them and was thrilled to actually purchase them when I could afford to. So it was books were Dungeons and Dragons books, like 120-page books. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, was about $12 to $15, and I got paid $5 per lawn. So over the course of 3 weekends, I'd be able to accumulate enough money to buy a book, and then occasionally I'd be able to stack up those extra couple dollars, and end up with 2 books that month. No, that'd be a good month for Phil. So here, oops, I kind of screwed up the background here. Let's grab that, cut, paste, merge. There, fix that. So that attitude of being given the grace of not being shooed away by bookstore management, it's kind of stuck with me my whole life. That like if you act with integrity and honor, then you're rewarded, and so I wanted to carry that. Since I'm publishing the books now, I wanted to have that same good grace of here's like, if you have the money, you'll spend it. If you don't have the money, you're not going to spend it anyway. So you may as well be able to see the stuff. But gamers, I think, are honest and know that the money is what keeps the content coming. So and as players age, they spend more and more money on the hobby that they love. So if you're a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old or whatever, and you can't afford, or hell, even a 27-year-old, and you can't afford a book right now, but you love D&D, you're going to get on top at some point. And you're going to have the financial power to support the hobby that you still love. And if you're still around at the point where you're there, then yeah, you'll start buying my books. I'm not a big fan of, here's a $30 book that you can't look at, but here, go ahead and buy it, and oh, sorry, it's not something you like, too bad, and I still have all your money. And it just feels disingenuous. Like Pathfinder, I really salute. I'm not a Pathfinder fan in general, but I very much salute Paizo and their willingness to make all of their content available online for folks, and then just, buy our books. If you want to support us, buy our books. Like, it's very generous, and it's just a great heart. But the reason people don't is because they're afraid they're not going to be able to get a return on their investment. And the reason I build these books is because these are things that are missing that I fell in love with, that I'm excited about, that I want to have available in my campaign, and I want to share that with people. The money that goes along with it is a proof of value. Like, people are happy to spend money on things that they think are valuable. So it's okay for you to charge money for stuff, because if people appreciate your work, they will buy it. But they have to have an opportunity to appreciate your work before they're willing to buy it. So you see how that works? That's just some basic altruistic economics going on there. And I think I'm pretty happy with this guy's silhouette in general. I need to fix his head. Anyway, well, I ended up talking about business again. But what I really like is that Dominion style of game where you have a troop running around with you, and if your character gets killed, then you just replace him with a new character. A lot of people don't have the opportunity to run full campaigns. Like, most D&D games die within, say, 3 months. Like, they fall apart or have to start over for one reason or another, or things got off kilter and it wasn't fun anymore. Like, it takes a lot of experience for a DM to be able to maintain momentum for a full campaign from level 1 to 20. It takes me about 200, anywhere from 200 to 250 hours. Thank you. Yeah, the Dungeoneer Survival Guide and the Wilderness Survival Guide, those are great books. Oh my god. Fantastic books. They really, even, they're out there as PDFs, and they're super cheap if you want to pick them up on DTRPG. Yeah, just really good, a way of just taking knowledge about the world and applying it to a fantasy world setting, and how to systemize and build like randomized tables and stuff to help get that chaotic like the chaos of nature, to sort of get that sort of feeling in there. Developing cavern systems and like mega dungeons is a lot of fun. It's just really, really good content in there. Definitely worth checking out. Like, those old first edition D&D books, since there was nothing out there about the subject matter, it's great how well they were built and how thorough the information was, because it really was basically like the first efforts in providing like that lore, like that practical how to convert real life stuff into game mechanics, or like that exploration simulation sort of feeling. Here. Yeah, that's probably. Let's give him a belt. We'll be done here for now. There's probably about 150 illustrations in the books that I have linked in the full previews. So if you want to see a shitload of my artwork, you can go click open that here. I'll go on my own little lark here real quick. 5-color mana DMsGuild. So here's one of the books I created. We'll pop open the full preview just to brag about my own artwork. Just real quick, here's a book cover that we created for. I'm going to change the title of this. We're going to rebuild this whole book for 5th edition when the 2024 books come out. We're going to simplify the title to 5-color mana spell point variant rules and get rid of all the extra stuff. It's overly complicated, but a lot of looser style of illustrations in here. I was still working out. Like, this style of art is super rough, but it was the precursor to this style of art. But this was 5 years ago, or 4 years ago that we created this stuff. But there's a lot of fun stuff inside of here. It's a lot looser, sketchier style. But I think there's still a lot of fun things in here. And we're going to be going through and looking at how, like, what art here is still good to keep and what should be changed. But again, this is a full, like, this is a 75-page preview here. It's the entire book. So you can see the different art pieces that we created in here. And there's a lot of it, like a lot of it. This is for Ravnica and color mana. If you're an MTG enthusiast, Magic the Gathering enthusiast, it's Wizards of the Coast is both the creator. I could do a lot better to clean this stuff up. God, it's so sketchy. My style has become a lot more refined. Like, this is a more refined piece, but still super sketchy. I've really evolved over the past 5 years. It's almost embarrassing the level of quality of some of this artwork in here, but it's fun stuff. But my landscapes have gotten better since here. It'll be fun to go through and fix all these things, just to come back and clean them up, make them better. Some of them are pretty good. Like, I really like this piece still, even though it's still a little sketchy. But I like how I do environment. Like, this is all Bob Ross techniques here. I do Bob Ross art on Saturdays occasionally. Like this one a lot too. This one's still good, but I like that plain air sort of feeling to creating shrubbery. Well, this will be fun to. God, this is gonna be really, really fun to rebuild. It's a pretty good one. But yeah, there's about across all the books I have linked down below, like this, varying levels of quality. The level of quality gets better and better as we go, as it evolves. So I'm really looking forward to swapping out all of these and just, you know, redoing what can be redone and replacing what should be done as well. So, but yeah, a lot of fun. Jeez. Some of this art, I tell you, is pretty scrappy, but a lot of it I think is a lot of fun. So anyway, artwork. There you go. Text, what up? Practice. Yep, practice, practice, practice. Coffee. Hey, freelancer. What? Are you serious? A, hi Zona. B, are you serious? You're using my color mana stuff? That's, I don't want to, I'll hold my breath to hear if that's what you're talking about, because if you're talking about something different, I don't want to disappoint myself, but. Mirrodin's cool, man. I don't know nearly enough about Mirrodin, Kaldheim. Like, I know some about Kaladesh, a bit about Eldraine, Ixalan, Ikoria, Ravnica, Strixhaven, or Arcavia. But there's a lot of worlds I still don't know nearly enough about. But That's awesome. If Zona, if you haven't seen the Martial Powers playtest that we're doing, it provides a color mana system for all the martial characters as well. So, you get even barbarians, all 13 class with. I developed that book on Tuesday. The next time we're going to live stream it's going to be tomorrow at lunchtime. But the color mana system that we have in those books, it provides pretty solid mechanics for the spellcasters. But the Martial Powers book provides the same mana system with instant effects and enchantment auras and different interrupt effects, sort of inspired by Magic the Gathering for all the martial characters. So when that book is done, all 13 classes will have the exact same color mana mechanics that they can use, but in different ways, so that you can have a barbarian sorcerer having one unified mana pool. That if you're a Gruul sorcerer barbarian, you can have red green magic for both your powers from the barbarian as well as your sorcerer spells. So a lot of the Spell Point Sorcerer book is coming along really well too. So there's still a ton of stuff that we're gonna put out for color mana spell point variant rules. It's just me. So it takes a long time to develop the stuff, and then I have to play test it at my home table, and my home table is currently 19th level. So for the Martial Power system, I'm gonna have to build a low level playtest environment and recruit people to play it to make sure that it works well at the low end. But yeah, at the end of that, by the end of 2024, there's going to be solidified mechanics using 2024 D&D mechanics for all 13 classes. And then from there, it's just jazz. We can build the Book of Boros, we can build the Book of Dimir. We have the Ravnica, the Pacts and Patrons of Ravnica is a book of 13 different Warlock options, or 10 different Warlock options, one for each of the 10 Ravnica guilds. You could play a Simic Warlock, and your patron saint, your otherworldly patron is the Simic guild itself. But we have that for all 10 guilds. So yeah. The Martial Power system. There's actually a playtest document on my Patreon. You don't have to be a Patreon member to gain access to it, but it's the document that I update live when I'm doing my development streams on Tuesdays and Fridays. So you can, but the content is actually there from level 1 to 20, and like I said, my team is 19th level right now. So our Ranger and our Rogue are both 19th level, and they're using the Martial Power system themselves and have been doing so since 12th level. We had a Paladin, but we lost them due to life. And the druid that we have can use some of the powers while wild shaping to have because in D&D druids can't really use any magic while they're wild shapes until 19th level. But the Martial Power system that we have, it's not spellcasting, it's just instant effects that when I roll a die, if I want to boost my ability check, for instance, or if I want to boost my attack roll, I can burn a point of mana and then add bonuses to it, or gain advantage, or whatever it is that particular power allows you to do. But the entire document is up on the playtest document. It's up on Google Drive, and you can access it through my Patreon, which is in the description to all the design development. Every time I stream development, I have a link to the document in the description, so you can go check it out. And if you want to further embellish color mana, then it's there for you to do so. So I think I'm pretty happy with that guy as is. So let's move on to the next one. Bloop. At a certain point, you're just kind of rambling on. Let's see here. I need some diversity. So let's go look at... I see text down there. I'll get to you. Let's go with Turkish pirate. Timely timer. How much time do I have left today? I still have 40 minutes. I'm doing good. Let's see. Well, I mean, to be fair, a lot of the Ottoman Empire was before cameras. So let's check this one out. Open image. This is me color referencing. I'm going to jump up here to references and I don't know why this isn't coming through. There it is. Cool, we'll use that. Transform, reduce. I don't see any color. I'm 100% colorblind, so I'm only seeing gray tones. So when I am working on a color piece, I need to find photo references for like skin color and clothing color and yada yada yada. So that's why I go online and fish for references. But that's got good color on it, so I can use that. So all my techniques are basically themed around grayscale and contrast. And then when I have an idea of what kind of contrast level, like this level of, like I knew I wanted this level of grayscale so that it would be able to be visible against the floor, the back panels, the gray of space, and the rocks, so that this is a good tunic color, for instance. But while I go through that process, since I'm not just working off of reflex, it allows me a good opportunity to think about, what like different cultures and skin colors and hair types that I can pick up on people. But I'm going to just grab, there might be a sepia wash here of red that maybe, oh no, it's not overwhelming. If I can see a blue and a green overtake the red on the RGB scale up there, I know that I'm not actually working with a sepia tone that is actually, those are the colors, but I'm seeing up there, okay. I'm seeing some instances here where the green and the blue are overtaking the rest. So I don't think I want to use this as an overall reference, but it's going to be decent enough for hair color. So like the amount of times that red is the dominant color in the RGB scale makes me wary that there's some sort of a red filter happening here that is going to throw off my color judgment. There we go. There's an instance of blue overtaking. That's good. So I'm going to use this guy. I'm going to use him as my base reference. You got a highlight here. You got shadow here. And we got midtone here. So we're going to stick with a midtone about there. Just going to use that for our base. Base! How low can you go? So we're just going to start off with body, and then we'll layer clothing and color and yada yada over it. Like that gray tone is almost identical to the background that we have going on there. Even though they're radically different colors, the grayscale in comparison are like, these are very close in the grayscale. This and this are incredibly different in color, but the gray tones are almost identical, right? Since the gray tones are all I see, this isn't a good overall color for me to be using. So I'm going to actually go down and grab a different, oops, I just locked up, so I'm going to have to save. The Adobe software and the OBS tools I use for streaming aren't 100% friends. So occasionally my Adobe Photoshop locks up and I have to close it and then reopen it again. So luckily when it locks up, it doesn't kill any save functions, but there's text down here. You want Monster to come up with good Psyonix of psychic ability systems. The one in 5e lumps it into spells, which is not correct. Yeah. We'll pick up like a Nigerian pirates. We'll pick those up for because we got a dude here, and here, and we'll probably pick up we'll probably dip into Nigeria over here. Actually, you know what? Let's go. Just do that now. Nigerian pirates. I bet we'll find some good shit. I mean, it's a little techie. Oh, I bet this will be a good one. Let's open this image in another tab. And again, it's hard for me to tell like black and white versus just low photo quality. So we'll see how this sits in here. Oh yeah, there's a lot of diversity in here. Good color ranges. Good. Great suggestion. Thank you. Great suggestion. I'm gonna go with that. We're gonna solve the problem that we're currently having, and swap out the gunner to a Nigerian color, and then the loader will switch to the Turk. So hold on. Let's get these lined up there. But yeah, I'd say one of the great benefits is since I don't see color and I'm always thinking about contrast, I'm always looking at like I can use different cultures and skins and stuff to be able to create that dichotomy that I want. Hold on here real quick. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. I'm gonna pick up a good mid-tone. That's a decent mid-tone. Now let's stick with what we got. Okay, cool. That's very, very close, but it's better. So we'll stick with it. Overall, once we get the shadow in, it'll be a lot better. But so I was talking about this yesterday when we were here, but I do the way that I think about things, the way that I design my compositions is I'm thinking about striated contrast, like light, dark, lighter, like light, very dark, mid-tone, light, dark, darker, light, darker, light, dark, 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 and then edge of page, right? So I got light, and then mid-tone, darker, mid-tone, lighter, darker, lighter, lighter still, darker, 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 darker. So I have this cadence of breaking things up. So you have light to dark, light to dark, light to dark. So you can help keep separation of one object from another by the contrast of the values. Value like the 0 value black, 100% value white. Like the amount of light in your piece, 100% light is white, 0 light is darkness or black. So that value, breaking up that value in the piece is something that I've really been studying a lot in the past 2 or 3 years in my own composition design. And so now that when I go in and I'm doing color here, I will look at like what like for skin color here, like what's going to be a good skin color. Like that's very same there. But when we drop in highlights and shadows, it'll pull out as it'll have actual good contrast. This mid-tone is the what's the word I'm looking for? Doesn't like as I develop this body, I will have to pay attention to the highlights and the shadows of it to make sure it has that dichotomy and separation. But as a base color, this is pretty decent because I can then choose my highlights, my highlights and my shadows as my mid-tone gray. Hopefully that all makes sense. But I'm just doing this. I just start off with a silhouette, and then we pull in detail on top of it. But if the silhouette is good, then the composition will be good. Like if you can tell this is somebody hunched over firing a weapon, then that's strong composition because it's accomplishing what we set out to do, which is building a gunner crew. Yeah. Right on. Thanks everyone for being around. This is a lot of fun. So trying to get the 500 subscribers. We're at 220 something right now. It would be awesome if I can get the 500 by the end of the year. That's going to be... I'm gonna have to get a lot of lift to hit there. But if you don't have a goal, you know, you'll never have a partial success if you have no measure of success at all. So you got to set a goal and not mind whether you hit or not. But the intention of the goal is where we're trying to get. So I've seen I just want to keep boosting this. Ultimately, I want to move into Kickstarters, and if I am lucky and build this correctly, I'll have a decent audience that are interested in the work that I build to help make sure those projects are successful. So that in the future, I put out a concept for Kickstarter, it gets backed, and then this process of creation that we're doing right now would be for something that, people that show up, have funded the project and can be part of the playtesting and offer opinions and feedback about how the system's coming along, and then participate in the actual artwork creation, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. Having, I already get crowd input as it is. Like, hey, like the Pirates, for instance. What a great suggestion! It would be great to have a Kickstarter project and then have 200, 300, 500 people backing it, and having a bunch of people kicking around throwing out ideas about artwork that we can put on the pages. Put out the playtest for people to chew on it. Make sure that it works really well, and then start getting suggestions about like what kind of art can we put into the book as we build it out. And I love that collaborative community creation process. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm going to actually skew this a little bit. There. Just that little bend makes a big difference. That arm feels huge. I'm gonna bring that down a couple ticks. Tick, 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 tick. There we go. Something like that. Maybe I don't need that arm there. There. This is probably the most complicated illustration left in the book. There's another 5 or 6 illustrations that we need before they're all done. And of course, a lot of diagrams that I build off screen, because people generally don't like watching me build diagrams. Yeah, we're getting towards the end of the actual illustrations that we need for this book. And when we get to that point, we're going to run out of stuff to build and be ready to publish, which is really exciting. I just don't want to. I don't want to jinx myself with knowing, it's nice to set goals, but holding yourself to it sometimes can be impossible. Like, I originally wanted this done in August, and that sure as hell didn't happen. I've never made a book that's 100 pages before, so I misjudged the amount of extended effort that it takes to create this amount of content. So, but I mean, luckily I don't have any corporate goals or anything, or like hard deadlines. It's just me kind of hammering stuff out, and when it's done, it's done. So, but I I'd say this book is like raising the bar on all my content in general. It is. I think it's much more polished. I think the artwork is a lot better. Like, and, you know, from the stuff we showed earlier, obviously this is a much higher level of refined artwork that we're creating here. So this book here is really, I think, just raising my level, my game altogether. So I don't mind taking the time that we need. But I do know that if I just limited myself to like inks or like pencils and stuff, I'd be able to crack out a book a hell of a lot faster. But what's the point of being able to figure out how to paint in color if I don't paint in color, you know? It's kind of like I kind of force myself to be in color here because the whole pride of me being an artist in the first place is that as far as I know, I'm the only colorblind artist out there that's figured out how to paint in color and well enough to get paid, you know, to get paid commissions. Like, you know, I'll get paid anywhere from $500 to $2,000 for a book cover. So, and that's, I'm really proud of that the level of quality that I can produce with the limitations that I have is like good enough. There is a ridiculous level of pride there, and for me to shunt that because it's just easier to produce black and white art, you know, it's just like, that doesn't feel sincere to me. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This torso's a little short. I need to free transform. Build that out a bit. Like, nope. I see some text crawling around down there. I'll get you in a second. Hold on. There we go. And then let's skew it just a little bit more. That's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that posture. Cool. Okay. And then I'll blip that out. And then let's grab some top. What's up? Arts. I just checked out Shadow Dark Arts and it reminded me of Berserker. Oh, no kidding. I also back to Shadow Dark System. Right on. Yeah, Terrence's smart, man. He does good stuff. Of course I backed it too. Just because, you know, I'm a fan. I'm also one of his moderators on his Discord, so check out Indestructible Boys Designosphere. You'll see me ranting about D&D there all the time. Voicing very, very out-of-pocket opinions sometimes, but we do what we do. Let's see. Let's grab, let's just stick with this motif down here. Pants. What is... I think that is... There we go. Baggity pants. Let's pull those britches up a bit. Bitches and britches. Uh, 20 minutes left? Yeah, we got 20 minutes still. And then I'll be back on tonight. In about 12 hours, I'll be back doing cartography for the abandoned homestead, the farm that we've been building for the Eberron adventure. And let's see, tomorrow we're going to be back on at lunch. Well, I mean, we'll be here tomorrow morning, of course, working on this some more. But at lunch tomorrow as well, we'll be back. We started the converting the Rune Knight to the martial power system yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, it was Tuesday. Tuesday, thank you. On Tuesday, yeah, we were developing the martial powers for the Rune Knight. We're taking all the subclasses, like for Barbarian, Rogue, Monk, Fighter, and we're converting. We have the base chassis of how the martial power system already works, and now we're building out each subclass like a spellcasting subclass, where we're recalibrating the features of each of the subclasses to use the power system. And then we're also granting each subclass a stack of 10 bonus powers that they get. Like you can gain up to 16 power. Like you can just choose 16 powers from level 1 to 20. But then with the subclass, you get an extra 10 bonus powers that are thematic to the subclass that you choose. So like the Rune Knights, we're still... The Rune Knight is a large lift because it has a subsystem of runes, right? So it took a little while. So we go through the I literally started off with nothing, and we broke down the different abilities of the Rune Knights and how they work with the fighter, as well as the martial power system in general. And then we converted all the features and each of the runes. But we only have about an hour and a half of lunchtime whenever we do a lunch stream. So we didn't have enough time to finish it. So I'm committing my Friday stream this week to going back and completing the Rune Knight for the fighter. But we're almost done with all of the fighter subclasses. We've already finished all the barbarian subclasses. We finished all the rogue subclasses. Next thing that we'll do is we already did a preliminary sweep of all the monk subclasses, but since the monk was the first one we did, so now that we've gotten to the back end of the barbarian, the rogue, and the fighter, there's a lot of tech and mechanics that we've learned along the way over the past 4 months of doing that. Now we can now go back and revisit the monk. And now that we have a better idea of how these systems work, we can redo the monk better. And we've already done the ranger and the paladin. But once we finish the monk, we'll go back through and look at the ranger and the paladin again, just to make sure we didn't leave anything on the table that could be improved. And then we'll be playtesting the whole thing at 3rd level. Folks that have at least $1 invested in my Patreon will have first dibs to seats at the playtest table, and we'll also have a vote in which day of the week we actually have playtesting. So we'll be posting more about that on my Patreon, and I'll be talking about that here on stream once the Spelljammer book is done. We'll move the Eberron project forward from Mondays and Thursday nights to Monday through Friday morning, like we're doing here, and then our Monday and Thursday nights, our Tuesday lunch, and our Saturdays will be options that we have for doing Tuesday lunch won't, but Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays are the low-hanging fruit for me to run a playtest campaign. And it'll be like a hex crawl, dungeon crawl sort of thing, where people can opt in and out, swap out their characters. We'll have that platoon style where you've got a bunch of NP. The way that I'm thinking about designing it is having a hex crawl where the characters are acting as scouts and escorts to a caravan through abandoned territories that are threatened. So the team can be making decisions about leading the caravan through the wilderness, and then you can just swap out the character that you want to use in playtesting that week by basically just picking a different character from the roster of NPCs that you're escorting. So basically the goal will be to scout ahead, make a decision about securing a path forward, and then going back and then advancing the caravan to the next position. So moving from hex to hex is basically you want to scout ahead to see which hex feels like the best spot to move your caravan forward. So then the caravan's coming up in the hex behind you. So there'll be dungeons and overland adventures and wilderness challenges that people can use their martial power characters to find solutions to the problem using the mechanics that we're testing. So that's kind of like, that's the idea that we have here. So so we'll be able to develop some hex crawl mechanics, and as well as actually testing like from 3rd to 7th level character advancement. So I think this guy's looking very Hawaiian t-shirt. I'm gonna do this, I think. There we go. Floating leaf. Yeah, so far so good. Another suitor for the princess. Another dark belt. More dark belts. Belt, belt, belt. Dark, dark belt. Belt, belt, belt. Once we get all these silhouettes resolved, filling in the detail inside of those silhouettes becomes a lot easier. Boo doo doo doo. Skin. Let's grab some hair. Text. Arts. That's a real fine way to start. I spy with my eye something that is text. Give me a second here to... There, like that. Okay, he's looking pretty good. That's a decent silhouette. We can stop with that there, and then let's move to the next one. Blip, blop, bloop, bloop. What's up? Feel as though there is a strong lack of hats in Spelljammer, maybe because the light sources are not typically directly overhead out in space. A lack of hats. I respect that. Yeah, lack of hats. Yeah, probably because of the lack of direct sunlight. Not having a light over there or even below the horizon line creates interesting lighting conditions, and since there's no direct heat that could cause burning or light blindness or like reflecting light off the water into the eyes, yeah, I think there's a strong de-emphasis on the necessity for hats. Although that does mean that if you are wearing a hat, it can denote status more easily on the team. There we go. This is a good placement for that color. This is going to have to be in front of that arm eventually when we start fixing this up. We're almost done. Yeah, we got we got almost 10 minutes. We're doing okay. We can probably get this guy silhouetted in. By God, I am hungry. I've been intermittent fasting to lose weight. Back in 2019 to 2020, I lost about 110 pounds. I dropped from actually a little bit more. I went from 311 pounds to 196 in about 10 months, and then I started working from home as a result of COVID. I have a blue collar, or I have a white collar type job. I do basically marketing analysis for an advertising agency. So it's a very cushy work from home sort of gig that I absolutely love, and but it. Not going into the office every day as basically a permanent arrangement has me basically looking at my fridge all day. So I picked up about, over the past 2.5 years, I picked up another 40 pounds. So I've gotten back onto exercising regularly and controlling my food regimen, and so I've lost 10 pounds this month. I went from 235. Well, I'm 220. I'm 225 today, and I was 234 in the 27th. Yeah, it was the 27th of September. So there's if I have 1,000 calories worth of food a day, I can pretty much lose a pound every 3 days. And so 1,000 calories is like if you get packaged, if you get grocery store have packaged salads. Those salads are typically anywhere from 300 to 400 calories a piece. So I can have 2 or 3 salads a day, in a 2-hour window. And that'll feed me for the day, and it will provide me with better nourishment than say pasta would. And once I get back down in the 190s, I'll be pretty happy. I think if I got down into 180, it would pull in all the loose skin that I have left. But I don't need to worry about being super aggressive about it. I'm 50 after all, so it's not like I need to have. It's not expected for me to have an Adonis body anymore. but I've certainly had a very posh lifestyle that I can afford to curb. Not lost that much yet, but it's noticeable. I have to watch my carb intake. Yeah, carbs more than anything. I tell you, man, fruit, vegetables are just like, it's like very. You probably figured this. Like, there's like, you get a lot of volume for very low caloric intake. Like a couple apples, like 2 or 3 apples is like 240 calories, and like 3 apples is very filling. Like instead of rice, having crumbled broccoli or cauliflower is a great way to be able to nip that stuff too. And cauliflower and broccoli, like shredded broccoli and stuff, that stuff makes really great pasta replacement. So riced. They call it ricing. So like riced cauliflower and riced broccoli with stir fry veggies. It's like 500 calories and incredibly filling. And I'm delighted to be finding that my system, my body hurts when I eat refined sugar, like candy bars and stuff like that, like confections. My body is starting to really be angry about me eating that sort of food. So like when I'm in a grocery store and I'm looking at it, it's like, this is a candy bar. I like simple Hershey's chocolate bars. Like 200 calories for, a little candy bar. And super basic, same thing as since the 50s. Very, very tasty, but it makes my body feel jagged, like I swallowed glass. So when I'm looking at those, I'm like, I could eat that, but like a salad would be just as sweet, like depending on the dressing that I use, would be just as sweet, a lot more filling, healthier for me, and I won't have that horrible jagged feeling afterwards. So I'm really thrilled that my body is asking me to pay attention to the long-term effects, like the after effect. Like eating it's tasty, but the feelings that I have afterwards, like that's what my body wants to pay attention to. Like this is how that food makes me feel. Please pay attention to that. And it's been joyful. It's wonderful because I know that sugar's not good for me, but it's so fucking addictive that it's like I'm going to eat this. I'm gonna have to be okay with eating it. But now that my body's starting to change, it's a wonderful limitation that my body's asking for me to pay attention to, and I couldn't be happier. I'm gonna have to reduce this guy's size. Ooh. Love this music. What do I want here? I'm gonna want something fairly light. I bet that's gonna blend. No, that's pretty light. That should be good. Yeah, this guy's too big. I'm going to have to reduce his size. But the anatomy will be good. There's no complaint there. Kick that guy down into the trash. Let's try that again. Here's my pant line. There we go. That was easier. All right, that's my timer for the day. I want to reduce the size of this guy in general. Wrong. Object. Transform. About like that. All right, we're going to go ahead and leave that there for today. It is almost 8 o'clock. It's time for me to bounce out of here. I will be back tonight in about 11, like 11-ish hours. So if you want to catch notifications when I'm live in the future, of course, you want to like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notifications when I'm around. You can check out my Patreon if you want. This book will be on the DMsGuild once it's published, and it'll have an extensive 100 some odd page free preview for folks to check out all the mechanics in here. If you buy it, when this thing publishes, it'll have 72 tokens of ships, monsters, and NPCs for Light of Zaraxis, as well as 8 maps and system design stuff for people to make use of. I will be back tonight for Eberron to do more maps and creature tokens for the Eberron adventure. I will be back tomorrow morning to continue work on this project here, and Saturday. On Friday. Yeah, Friday lunch. I'll be back here on Friday morning to do more of this. Friday lunch, we're going to continue the Rune Night for the Martial Power System, and then Saturday we'll be doing our book cover commission that we got recruited for the Enroven's Shatter Weapon, which is a book cover for an Underdark adventure for 5th edition as well. And then I'll be back on Monday to do it all again. So stick around. When the book is done, we'll publish it. We'll do a walkthrough for folks, and then we'll just keep moving on with more and more projects. We'll have playtesting coming up for Martial Powers here, and probably by the beginning of the year. Thanks a lot. I'll see you guys on the other side. Cheers. What button do I need to press? This one. Cheers.